This is Tim Albright with AVNation with the road to CEDIA and CEDIA Expo. Happens the 5th through the 7th of September in beautiful Denver, Colorado. And with me to talk about it is my buddies, Steve Greenblatt and Brittany DiCesare from Control Concepts. Welcome, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Steve, we'll start with you on this. You have been around a minute or two, slightly longer than I have, but we're both kind of old. Talk for a second about the not just the need of modules, right? And I've made no bones about the fact that I am a failed programmer, but when I was a programmer, modules aren't my saving grace. Why are they necessary when it comes to today's environment and the success of a product?
From a product standpoint, it's critical that a manufacturer goes beyond just providing an API. The API is the starting point, and the idea of a module, a driver, or plugin, that terminology is interchangeable based on platform, is the connector between the product and that platform, and it provides confidence to an integrator, to a programmer, that there's a proven solution, and these two products are compatible, and that's really the essential part of it. And it's for modern programmers right now, they're under the gun to get projects done, and they're really worried about user experience. They're worried about that customization and addressing the needs of their end user. With that on top of having to learn a new product and having to develop and interface with an API, it really blows project budgets and timeframes and so forth, and puts that programmer under a lot of pressure.
Brittany, we mentioned the fact at the top that we're talking about the road to CEDIA, and the reason that we're talking to you guys is because of your integral involvement with not just the manufacturers, that is your client. You guys make custom modules for those folks. But talk for a second about why you're going to CEDIA and how important those modules, those custom crafted code pieces are important to the residential market.
Modules, drivers, and plugins on both sides of our industry are important. I would say it's even more crucial when you're faced with the residential market. The residential platforms are all very configuration based, and without these building blocks, you're putting programmers up against a very hard challenge to be able to overcome in a short period of time. You're also talking about, from the residential standpoint, you're not talking about one shade or one light. You're talking about multiples over a large home, usually in a large residence. So you have to account for the scalability of that and how you control all of them at one time, control them individually. All of that you have to account for in the programming. And so if you don't have those drivers pre-built and have them ready and supportable, you have a programmer who may not be as familiar with the platform you've spec'd out for this job, or who may not have the information they need with the API to be able to take the product's language and the platform's language and marry them together. So you come across a learning challenge, you come across a time challenge, and then in the end, you've got products that may not be fully controlled the way they should have been from the beginning. So making sure that you've got the manufacturer standing behind these drivers, modules, plugins, ready to say, you can do everything I tell you that this product does. You can control it with whichever control platform you choose, because we've invested in your success as an integrator and a programmer.
Steve, talk to the dealers that Brittany was just talking about there, and how, not just you guys can help those folks, but also how they can help you by going to the manufacturer and saying, hey, look, this would be great. This would be fantastic. This would be better if I had X, Y, Z.
When you're at trade shows like CEDIA and CEDIA Expo, you're going to walk around and see a lot of manufacturers touting partnerships. This is what we're talking about. And many times they'll have a whole wall of logos that says these are the products or platforms that we interface with, that we know that we connect with. The integrators really need to follow that and not only ask, do you connect with it? Because that could just mean it's possible, but ask them, how far have you gone to making this easy for me? Are you giving me the tools that I need to be successful, or do I need to do that extra work to be able to make these things work together? So it's that's really the question to ask: is show me what I can download to be able to test this product and know that it works.
And then, Brittany, what can you say to manufacturers then when you look at scalability and things like that nature when it comes to not just their product but also the experience that their dealers have with custom made modules?
Well, there's a lot of ways that you can approach writing a module, and so we have a proven approach that makes sure that it works the same whether you're dealing with communicating to one device or hundreds of devices, and we don't want that experience to ever differ. We want to make sure it's always reliable, and I think accounting for scalability, but also that support line is critical. We are able to emphasize support because we've been in that situation. We were programmers for 25 years. That's our background as a company. And we understand because we've been on the line begging for someone to pick up the phone to help us. So we never want an integrator or a programmer to be caught in between and stuck on a job that they can't get out of because they can't get anyone to help them, or they're dealing with a poorly written module driver or plugin. So we make sure that everything is done to excellence. We make sure it's written the way we would have wanted it written if we were the programmer in the field. And then if the programmer gets into a bind, they know who to call. And that manufacturer is the one who's actually paid for the support of the integrators and programmers, so that there's no charge to the programmers. There's no extra cost, no hidden fees. We just really want to make sure that everyone is successful, because if they're successful in integrating these products together, then we're successful too.
Yeah, and that support is absolutely huge. Again, 100 years ago when I was a programmer, Greenblatt was usually who I called crying. So I do appreciate that part. Steve, somebody wants to connect with you, wants to connect with Control Concepts. How do they do that?
To find us, controlconcepts.net. Me personally is at Steve Greenblatt. Also here on AVNation on the State of Control podcast. You can learn more about the importance of programming and control.
All right. And Brittany, once somebody wants to connect with you or have a conversation about custom modules, how do they do that?
You can find my email address on controlconcepts.net. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn and X at Britt Dice.
Very good. Steve and Brittany, we will see them at CEDIA and CI Expo in Denver. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Follow along as we also head to CEDIA and CI Expo 2024, 5th through the 7th of September. All that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.